the size of an adult liver, and she had a cancerous tumor growing on her liver. I was told all of this while driving down the Coralville Strip by myself with Jenna. I was told that I needed to go to the University Children's Hospital for just probably an overnight stay. 3 weeks later, on February 11th, we got out of the hospital for the first time. During that time, we had a lot of changes going on in our life. While there, number one, trying to get a 4-year-old to take medication who has never had to take a medication before was very, very difficult. She didn't want to talk to anybody. She didn't want anybody to touch her. She didn't want anybody to look at her. She didn't want anybody to talk about her. You couldn't stand in front of her TV. You couldn't touch her blankets. You couldn't mess with her blankets. You couldn't do anything to her. So getting her to take her medication took a lot of patience and a whole lot of drive from the help of nurses, dance marathon volunteers, and child life at the hospital to just get her to find out that it was going to help her. A few weeks after we had been in the hospital, she decided that she was just tired of it. She wanted to give up. She had been in the PICU. She had a feeding tube. She had seizure pads on her bed. Her heart rate was all crazy. She was hooked up to all kinds of monitors, and she just was tired of it. She wanted nothing more to do about it. So I remember there was a morning there had the student nurses come in with the nurses, and I was like, good luck. And, well, they sat with her for like an hour to get her to take her meds because I couldn't do anything more for her. I had exhausted all my resources. I was done fighting with her. I just didn't know what else to do. So they sat for an hour getting her to take her medication, bribing her, doing whatever, all costs. Finally, she would take her medication, but the nurses would have to cheer for her and do chants and sing songs. So there was a night where it was like 10 o'clock at night, and she didn't take her meds. Well, somebody was playing Wii across the hallway, and I remember Amanda, she's like, I'll be right back, I have to go do some cheers for Jenna. And so they would do whatever they had to do to get her to take her meds, because they never wanted to give up on her. And they knew that she was going to be okay, because if they just continued to give her meds and do what she was supposed to do, she would be fine. Along with lots and lots of stickers, but they never had enough princess stickers in that hospital. Never enough. I don't know. They always ran out, so she always ended up with like Scooby-Doo or something. So I hope they've gotten more princess stickers for those little girls. If you have to be in the hospital, the Children's Hospital is the place to be. It's fun. They do one-on-one activity with you. They do group activity. They do music therapy. Her favorite night was Thursday night bingo and make your own pizza night. She loved that night. That was her favorite night. And actually, I kind of liked that night because that was the only time I could get away from her for like a half an hour. And she's making faces like, yeah, that's true. So that was my, at 7:30 at night, I would be like, I'm going to go get a cup of coffee, and I'm going to be back in 20 minutes. But she always had all kinds of fun, and the dance marathon volunteers at the hospital are fabulous. We are so very lucky to have them, and they have such a passion for the kids at the hospital. They love what they do. We're very lucky to live only 30 miles from the Children's Hospital. And it's just a quick drive here, and we were able to go home and such when needed. And Bryce and Caitlin, her brother and sister, were able to come and visit as they liked, but they didn't even like to come visit her because she wasn't fun to be around. They would rather stay home. Jenna also had tumors in her lungs and in her stomach. And in order for them to do anything about her liver, we had to get rid of those tumors on her lungs and her stomach. And she went through 9 rounds of chemo when they decided in June of 2009 that it was okay to try to go in and resect the tumors off of her liver. When they went in, though, they decided that they were going to have to take too much of her liver in order for her to be able to survive. Before the doctors even came out of the operating room, they had a plan in place for us before they even came to us. It could have been because they knew that I was going to, like, freak out and go, what are we going to do next? They had already contacted the University of Nebraska Medical Center so we could go over there. And I thought that it took a lot for some of the best doctors at the university to be able to say, you know, we can't help her, but we need somebody to help her, and we know that she can be saved, but we're going to send her to our next best thing, and that was out to Nebraska. We went out there, and we decided what she needed was a liver transplant. So we came back to Iowa, underwent a few more rounds of chemo. In September 31st of 2009, we got a phone call saying that Jenna's liver was available. So we kissed our other two goodbye at 9:30 at night, loaded Jenna up in the car, and off to Nebraska. We went for an unknown amount of time. October 1st, 11 months ago today, Jenna underwent 12 hours of surgery, and she received her life-saving liver that day. After 12 hours at 10 o'clock at night, I was able to see her, and she was ready to recover. She was a fighter. She was only on ventilator for a day. She was 2 hours later, 2 days later, she was sitting up in bed trying to color. So she did really great. The first 48 hours were really difficult, hoping that she didn't reject her liver. I do have to say that, since this is also about the football, every Saturday morning I did send a picture to Ricky Stanzi on my phone of Jenna in her Hawkeye gear. And that morning, it was 2 days after surgery, and I sent him a picture, and he said, "Why would you send me a picture like that?" And I'm like, "Well, because that's how she is every Saturday. I got to send you what she does." About 45 minutes after the game that day, he called me and he said, "I played my heart out for Jenna. If she can play the game every single day and fight for her life, I can sure fight through one football game." So we were in Nebraska for 1 month. Half the time we spent in the hospital, the other half time we just spent hanging out in the Lead Center, which is attached to the hospital, staying there. We came home at the end of October. Jenna had another round of treatment in November and December, and her rounds of chemo were 3 days in the hospital, overnight stays every 3 weeks. Her last chemo was in December, and Tina, she hung her last bag of chemo, which was like a beautiful sight. I had to take pictures. And on January 21st, she was diagnosed as cancer-free of 2010. January, she's had a great time being an average 5-year-old, driving me crazy. Enjoying kindergarten, dance, tumbling, playing outside, and of course, she's patiently waiting for Saturday so she can watch her favorites, Ricky, Jeff, Brett, and Colin, take the field with the rest of the Hawkeyes to play some football. We are here because Jenna and all of the doctors, nurses, volunteers at the hospital down the street, because they cared so deeply about this little girl who had so much life and nobody was going to give up on her. The fact that they knew they needed help to save her and all the connections that they had to make it happen. We would not have changed a thing about her treatment. No decision was easy about her treatment, but we always seemed to make the right decision because of all the help and guidance that we had through the university. I always say that Jenna is spoiled because of the way she got treated at the hospital. So, thank you, nurses, for spoiling her. But thank you again for allowing us to come here and speak tonight. And Jenna has had a very special relationship with a few of the Hawkeyes who came to the hospital while she was there. Got to know her, fell in love with her, decided that they enjoyed hanging out with her, and I don't know, evidently she just like weaseled her little way into their hearts. And Rick came and watched her at her dance recital last spring, and she thought she was pretty cool. Poor guy, though. He tried to, like, go incognito, but it didn't work. All the girls saw him coming in the door. So, but other than that, I'd like to thank you for having us come, and the Children's Hospital is a wonderful place. So, thank you.